Hi, this is Linear Ward with Century 21. Well, we've talked about the other contingencies, the finance, the appraisal, and the sale contingencies. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into each so that we understand exactly what we're talking about. Now, the finance contingency, that's the period in which your lender is going to be confirming all your documents and making sure that you really can qualify and be approved for the mortgage that you need to secure the property that you've put an offer in on. Now, this period, if you're going to do it, is typically 5, I put up here 10 plus. I think that's the most common kind of time frame that we're seeing for those. Really, it's up to how fast you as the buyer can get the lender everything they need. And it's up to the lender how fast they can move through processing all your documents and making sure that you really are going to qualify. Now, out of the contingencies, this one is the most commonly waived and the easiest to waive because that's really a three-way conversation between you, your lender, and your real estate agent to talk about if that's a good option for you. Good candidates for waiving that appraisal contingency are people who aren't just pre-qualified but are pre-approved and have actually already submitted all of their documentation, everything the lender needs. They've gone through preliminary underwriting and the lender has said, hey, this is no doubt, we're good to go here. That's a good time to possibly waive that finance contingency. You're still gonna have some other protections in place, and if the lender says, hey, I have no doubt about this, that's a good thing to consider. The second one, the appraisal contingency, that one is a tougher one to waive because there's potentially a lot more money on the line for that one. Again, as we talked about, the appraisal contingency says that if the appraisal comes in low, you as the buyer have the right to terminate the contract. There are a couple other options. You can also make up the gap with cash, or you and the seller can find a new price to settle on. In this seller's market, that one is extremely unlikely. And not everybody has the cash to be able to make up a significant gap. Sometimes maybe we're talking 5, 10 grand. Other times we might be talking $20, $30, $40,000 in addition to your down payment and all the other costs. So that's a tough one. It's tough to waive that appraisal contingency. Now there are times where people do it. If you're already putting down a really, really healthy amount, let's say 20, 30, 40%, and you can just kind of adjust your down payment down a little bit and then work your cash to close for the appraisal up a little bit, yeah, maybe you consider it then. But it's a little bit tougher one because there is a lot more cash on the line. Now, for the appraisal contingency, most of the time you're going to see 14 plus days. Some people do it a little bit faster. Sometimes it's up to 21. It depends on how backed up the appraisers are and how backed up your lender is on being able to order it and get somebody out there. The final one we're going to talk about is the pending sale of your own property contingency. Now, this is one that it is risky to waive it. In this current market, you almost have to. You're really going to have trouble getting an offer accepted if you're offering pending the sale of your current property because there's just too many variables going on. It really puts the sale of the seller's house in jeopardy because they have no control over how your house does with inspection. Maybe your appraisal on your property comes in low and all of a sudden you've got an issue selling your house and therefore you're going to have an issue buying their house. It's a difficult one. Now, even if you do offer with a pending sale contingency, most of the time the seller, the listing agent, is going to put in what they call a kick-out clause. The kick-out clause says that if they're basically still marketing the property for offers. And if they can find somebody that gives them an offer they like more than yours, they're going to trigger the kick-out clause. They're going to let you know, hey, kick-out clause has been activated. You owe us blank amount of money that is predetermined. You owe us X amount of money, and you're going to have to cancel your sale contingency if you want to move forward with the purchase of our property. Otherwise, hence the name, we're kicking you out and we're accepting this other offer. It's a tough one. It's a very, very tough one. So the other big question in the sale contingency is how far along are you on the sale of your property? If you haven't even gotten it on the market yet, yeah, no chance. If it's on the market but not under contract, really, really tough. If it's under contract and in due diligence, still tough. If you're a few days away from closing, yeah, maybe not quite as bad there. But again, that's a tough one. It's also a tough one to waive, so it presents some challenges. Now, I did mention at the end of the contingency video, We have options that you can waive all three of these and make an offer with no finance contingency, no appraisal contingency, and no sale contingency, even if you do have to sell a home. And that's going to make your offer jump to the top of the pile. Now, you're not just offering without those contingencies and putting yourself at major risk. There are protections in place that make you secure. You're not going to lose a ton of money going this route. I would love to tell you how to become a Century 21 power buyer and make offers with none of these contingencies that still protect you and give you a great chance of winning your next bidding war.